What up? It's your boy Big Facts here for another episode of You Read Me, only on Read Me Network. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm here to talk to you today about the NBA playoffs, my favorite time of the year, man. And it's proven to be exciting, man. We finally got the rankings that closed up on Sunday. We had some matchups, so we get some of it set. But Adam Silver did implement the play-in game, which I think is one of the best things that the NBA has implemented over the past maybe 10, 20 years. Last year, we saw some exciting matchups. We saw LeBron get to go against Steph Curry. LeBron won that matchup to get the Lakers into the playoffs. Unfortunately, he will not be in the playoffs this season. And then we saw Ja Morant upset Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, although they were pretty beat up. Ja Morant was able to get his team in the playoffs, and we saw that momentum carried over to this year because now the Memphis Grizzlies are in second place in the West. They had a big jump, especially with Jaren Jackson Jr. getting healthy. So that young team's exciting. So we know that this play-in game can carry some momentum and some confidence over the next season. Just quickly to go over the rankings in the East, we got Miami in first place at 53-29. We have the Boston Celtics coming in at second place. We have three teams tied for 51-31. Milwaukee Bucks could have gotten the second seed, but obviously they're trying to avoid the Brooklyn Nets, which is a smart decision. So they pretty much let the Cleveland Cavaliers win, so Brooklyn can get that 7th seed and they can kind of get out of the way of them. As of right now, they're going to match up with the Chicago Bulls. That's set. Boston they're in that 2 seed and they're in the prime candidate to match up with the Brooklyn Nets. And we'll talk about here later in this episode. Got the Milwaukee Bucks at 3rd, as I said, that's going to match up against Chicago. And the 76ers will be matching up with Toronto. They got that 4-5 seed. That should be a good matchup right there. In the play-in game, we got the Brooklyn Nets at 7th going against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They'll be playing today at 7 Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time. Brooklyn will have home court advantage. It doesn't matter anymore now that New York has loosened their rules. Kyrie can play in that game. The 9-10 matchup, you got Atlanta against Charlotte. Now that'll be happening on Wednesday. And just for a quick recap, how the play-in games work is the 7th and 8th seed play each other, but that game on Tuesday is not going to be an elimination match. 7 and 8 play each other, and the winner of that game will automatically get the 7th seed. They'll get the higher seed. The loser of that game will go on to play the winner of the 9th, 10th place game. Whoever loses that 9th and 10th place game on Wednesday, they'll be eliminated from the playoffs, and the winner will only get the opportunity to go play the 8th place game. And then that game on Friday between the winner of the the loser of the 7th, 8th game and the winner of the 9-10 game will get the 8th seed, right? So right now in the East, we have Brooklyn taking on Cleveland in the 7th, 8th, as I said, and you have Atlanta taking on Charlotte in the 9th, 10th game, and that'll be on Wednesday at 7 Eastern. In the West, you have Phoenix coming back next, and another year, back-to-back years being the number 1 seed. They kind of surprised us getting to the finals last year. You have Memphis with the 2 seed locked up. You have Golden State Warriors with the 3 seed. You have Dallas Mavericks with the 4 seed. They might be in some trouble because Luka is not all the way healthy. We'll hear more about that later this week. You have the Utah Jazz with the 5th seed. I think they're struggling too. The Denver Nuggets, they have jokers, so they always got a chance, but they are going against the Golden State Warriors. Then in the play-in game on the West, you have the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the LA Clippers. Now, this will be in Minnesota, and Minnesota has the advantage, but it's a tough matchup for Minnesota. And then you have the New Orleans Pelicans playing the San Antonio Spurs, which both teams beat the Lakers out to keep them out of the play-in games, out of the tournament. This is kind of what we're going to see in the post-LeBron era, man. It's wide open. This is like when Jordan left in '94. You know what I mean? It becomes wide open. When you see one of the dominant forces out, then it opens it up. I think last year, we didn't think that like Giannis had a chance. We thought Brooklyn Nets were set. We thought that we knew who the favorites were. This year, it's kind of up and down because the teams that we thought that were the favorites coming in the season, like the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs, and the Nets are now in the play-in game. Although they had some injuries and things happen, still, this season is up for grabs. So this is going to be a pretty interesting year because I think any team can win it. You don't know who's going to get to the finals. All the way from 1 down to the Brooklyn Nets, the 7th seed in the East could literally get to the finals. But let's touch on this Tuesday play-in game, right? So the play-in games tonight are pretty important because that's going to set the 7th seed up to see who Boston is playing and who Memphis will be playing. So in the East, you have the Brooklyn Nets, as I said, going against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Brooklyn's coming in rolling. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they've won 4 games in a row. To go along with that, they've kind of dominated Cleveland in this series. They won 3 of the 4 games. And a lot of those games, a couple of those games, Kyrie didn't play. So even not at full health, they were able to kind of dominate Cleveland. And it doesn't help that Jared Allen will not be playing in this game. That's Cleveland's premier shot blocker and the second All-Star on the team. Luckily, they do have Darius Garland, a first-time All-Star, but they're going against the Brooklyn Nets team that is getting healthy. You have Kyrie, who's missed 29 games, but he's able to play in this game. Will be able to play all throughout the playoffs. You have KD, who's missed almost as many games as Kyrie has played. Kyrie's played 29 games. KD's missed 27 games, but now they're healthy. They don't have Ben Simmons and they haven't had Joe Harris all year, but they do get Goran Dragic back and they get Seth Curry back. Seth Curry, when he plays, the Nets offense is much better. Now, I will say that the Nets do struggle with some depth issues. They've been playing Patty Mills a lot, but with the fact that they're getting Goran Dragic back, that means that they don't have to play Patty Mills as much and have to worry about that liability on defense. And Patty Mills could just be a spark off the bench. I love Brooklyn in this matchup, and I love Cleveland. Cleveland's had an excellent year. I even think with Jared Allen healthy, they would have struggled to play against the Nets. Like I said, it's been a bad matchup for them all year. The Nets just recently beat Cleveland on Friday. I think it was 118-107. So, this is just a bad matchup for Cleveland. I respect it for go ahead and holding Jared Allen out, letting Jared Allen have a chance to come back Friday in a game that I think they can win and get the A seed, right? So the Cleveland Cavaliers will have Evan Mobley, their rookie, who I think probably should be rookie of the year. They have marketing. Rondo's been playing well. Kevin Love's been playing well, and they're going to need Kevin Love to play big, whether they win against Brooklyn or not. But I'm looking for the Nets to win this game pretty easily and go on to face the Boston Celtics. And I love their chances against the Boston Celtics. I think this is a bad matchup for the Celtics. It sucks because they had a great season to go from like 7th or 8th seed to get into that 2 seed. But that's a two spot that everyone was trying to avoid because of the Nets. I think Cleveland will go on to play in the play-in game for the 8th seed that'll happen on Friday. We'll talk about that later in the week. The next play-in game is going to be against the Clippers versus Minnesota. Now, Minnesota's actually the 7th seed, and they have home court advantage, but the Clippers have won 3 of the 4 matchups, similar to what I said with Brooklyn. So even though the Clippers are coming in as the lower seed and they have to go to Minnesota, I love their chances to win this game. The Clippers have suffered injuries all season. They have been without Kawhi Leonard. Paul George has missed a significant chunk of the season, but now he's back healthy. But I think with the injuries, it's actually helped this Clippers team get better, because they've had players like Amir Coffey have significant playing time. They brought in Covington, who you saw just had a 50-point game. You got Norman Powell, who's a two-way player. Kennard got some chance to play. BJ Boston. They just have several players. Terrence Mann. They have several players to increase their bench depth. Now that you get Markieff Morris back, Paul George back, Reggie Jackson was the leading scorer of this team. I think this team could be dangerous, even coming in as a 7th, 8th seed. I like their chances against Minnesota. Minnesota's much improved. They went from 23 wins last year to 46 wins this year. Shout out to Chris Finch. The offense is the number 1 offensive rated team in the league with 115 points per game. So this team is definitely dangerous. with Patrick Beverly, D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, Cat. You even have long-rangey players like McDaniels and I just lost the other guy's name, but they're really deep. They play really well on defense, and they can score the ball. But I just think that the Clippers are a bad matchup for them. I don't think they'll win this game. I think that the Los Angeles Clippers will go to play Memphis in a great matchup for the first round, and that the Minnesota Timberwolves will go to play the winner of New Orleans and San Antonio on Friday. And I think the Minnesota Timberwolves still have a great chance to get into the playoffs as an 8th seed and play against Phoenix. I just don't think they'll do it on Tuesday. But I'll be back with you tomorrow to talk about the 9-10 playoff matchups against Atlanta and Charlotte and New Orleans and San Antonio. Peace.